Good afternoon, preppers. Welcome to Goshen Prepping. Listen, in the United States, we have a Second Amendment, and there it is to stay, I'll be honest with you. And although we actually have numerous government entities trying to remove the Second Amendment, it is there for a reason. And one of the main reasons, besides others, so stick to the video, but one of the main reasons by far is simply just protection. From the Washington Examiner, a new normal in gun sales, 16 million or more. Gun sales have crossed into a new and historic territory, averaging over 16 million sold annually as buyers are concerned about, ready, violent crimes. According to the FBI, the last 3 years have recorded new gun highs in sales and background checks. This is the third highest following records in 2020 and 2021, of course. And continuously, again, there are specific governments and administrations, one's in power right now, who is trying to ban even specific types of guns. And of course, being on YouTube, I have to be careful talking about what kind that they like to shoot down and demonetize and take away videos for. Talking about Nazis, huh? They are doing their best to try to remove them from the public. And it's really funny. It amazes me how the more tyrannical a government acts, the more that tyrannical government tries to ban guns. Have you noticed that? But when we're talking about simply just trying to protect ourselves, you know what amazes me and blows my mind is, like, in the United States, if I want to carry a specific type of weapon, it may be banned. I may actually have to have a special license to carry it. However, the people who are actually in charge, we're talking about senators, we're talking about congressmen, congresspeople, etc., they often have armed security carrying those weapons. Completely hypocritical. And of course, we don't be able to protect ourselves here. And as we see violence increasing all over the world, it's just exploding right now. It's even more logical, and that's why we're seeing record sales of people buying weapons to protect themselves, of course. Now, will the government successfully ban certain guns? I'm sure they will. But I want you to see something, and here's what we're getting to, that is not their ultimate plan. I want to show you their ultimate plan. Again, learn from history, so check this out. Straight from the Michigan government. Of course, we see this in other states too, but they actually just introduced a bill. I actually don't see the status of it actually being shot down just yet, but it might be. But it's a House bill introduced, and the House bill is there to ban specific types of guns, especially assault weapons. Okay, and specifically, they're going to go through what they actually define to be an assault weapon. They say if it has a pistol grip or a thumbhole stock, a folding stock, etc., whatever they deem to be an actual assault weapon. And on that note, the term assault rifle, AR doesn't stand for assault rifle. People love to jump on this. It stands for Armalite rifle. And it's the specific design of rifle, which actually was bought by Colt. And of course, then they actually made it into military and then eventually civilian models. But people, especially the ones who are trying to ban these things, often do it without actually even having the knowledge of what they're actually even talking about. They simply see certain types of weapons as being scary, or overall, you shouldn't have those weapons. My security does, but you shouldn't have those weapons. And at least I applaud them a little bit in this specific bill. At least they're trying to name certain things they want to ban. I don't agree with the ban at all, obviously. But at least they actually gave this one some thought. I want to continue on with this, though, and you'll see my point. Now, all these things are saying they're going to ban these here in Michigan. And of course, if this bill passes, and a person may continue to possess an assault weapon that the person legally possessed before the effective date of sale, if the following things take place. And here's what we're getting to. The person must register the assault weapon with the Department of the State Police. And in addition to that, if you live here in Michigan, you're required by law to register any type of handgun as well with the state police. Not only register it, but continue that registration every 5 years. Now, here's the kicker. A person who violates this is guilty of a felony punishable by imprisonment for not more than 5 years. And that's where we're getting to in this video. Because you have to understand, of course, there are specific administrations and congressmen, et cetera, who always want to try to limit certain guns. There's always going to be those people there. And the Second Amendment protects us. We often see judges siding with the Second Amendment, saying, look, that's part of our foundation of this country. But they're sneaky. They're very sneaky. And what I always say is, when you look at history, history is amazing at teaching us specific actions that have taken place in the past to watch for them in the future. Because here they're yelling in your ear, saying, we need to ban this, we need to ban this, we need to ban this. But they're really simply pushing, you need to register you need to register, you need to register. Now, granted, there are bans. I'm not saying it's not happening. But as they try to ban something and it gets taken away, and they try to ban something and that bill gets shot down, and they're screaming here, they often sneak into it, you have to register your firearm. They sneak in there nice and quiet. Hey, listen, you can have your assault weapon. You can have your semi-automatic, etc., as long as you register it. Is that okay? Just as long as you register it. And I think people are like, well, at least they're not trying to ban it. And I think a lot of people, I think most people, honestly, I think almost, you're going to see in the comments below some people who resist against this. And I would never do that if I were one of you people, by the way. But you'll have most people who will go for this, and they'll be glad to say, well, at least that's not a total ban. Sure, here's state police. Here's all my paperwork showing I own this type of weapon. So where's the history come into play? The Nazis, Nazi Germany. I've heard a lot of people say, well, you know, the Nazis banned guns. No, they didn't. Pre-Nazi and Nazi time, they did not ban guns. You were allowed to own firearms, but you had to register them. In fact, they actually had a federal registry. And what happened is when the Nazis took over, guess what they had? They had all those federal registries saying, look, we know exactly who owns what guns and where they're at. So when the people became the enemy of the state, and being an extreme totalitarian regime, those people were the first to go off to ghettos, concentration camps, etc. In fact, I even heard a liberal person say, listen, Jews, and literally address to Jewish people like this, which I don't want to meet this person in public, you know what I'm saying? But they said, listen, the only reason you got sent to the ghettos is because you had guns in the first place. And some people actually Jewish people took the guns to the ghettos, and therefore then they sent to the Jewish people to the concentration camps and said, maybe you should have just turned your guns in the first place, trying to blame it on the Jews that they were not conforming to the law when we knew the whole thing was about genocide. Okay, not getting into that argument because we could. But it gets much worse than that. And that's why I'm going to look at this last line again. I already have it highlighted. Anyone in violation, subsection that is guilty of a felony, punishable imprisonment more than 5 years. Why? If you don't register the firearm. If you don't register the firearm, you have now committed a felony. So do you see their circular reasoning and logic here? Listen, everybody, we just want you to register your firearms. My first question is, why do you need to know? Okay. But if you don't register it, you are automatically a felon, and therefore you lose all of your firearms. So by failing to register, that automatically marks you as someone who can't carry a weapon. So either conform, register it, or you lose all your weapons completely. That is literally what's written in their documentation. So understand, don't think that simply just registering your firearms or sitting back and actually doing a registration is not a big deal. It's a huge deal because history teaches us when it comes to totalitarian regimes, which seems to be coming right out of the woodwork, especially in the United States, it's those registered gun owners, especially the ones who are raising a ruckus, that are going to be coming after first.